Hello there. It's deeply ingrained in the human psyche that taking action is a positive thing. And in many cases it is. But successful investing usually entails the very opposite: discipline and self-restraint, feeling comfortable doing nothing. Barry Ritholtz is one of the most popular investment bloggers in the United States.
I began as a trader, and I sat next to a row of guys, and one guy was making a lot of money and the guy next to me wasn't making money, and it kind of perplexed me as a newbie. How come these two guys who are more or less, it looks like they're doing the same thing, you know, moving the stuff around the screen, buying this, selling that, this guy's really profitable, this guy isn't. And so it started me about 20 years ago researching what was then the nascent field of behavioral economics. Why people's psychology works against them. Why the way we're wired, your own wetware, works against you in capital markets. And that gradually, over time, I became less and less active as an investor. My holding periods became longer and longer. And eventually, I more or less adopted, I don't want to say Warren Buffett's "my holding period is forever," but you start thinking in terms of decades, not weeks and months.
One of the problems we face as investors is that we're constantly surrounded by noise. For example, we see and hear stories on radio and television about markets falling or rising sharply, and we're tempted to act on impulse. And the newspapers are full of ideas about the latest investment opportunities. Almost invariably, though, the best course of action for those with the right investment strategy in place is inaction.
The biggest enemy of the investor is themselves. You know, there's a number of studies that look at investor performance not versus a benchmark, but versus their own holdings. And most investors underperform their own holdings. Now, why is that? Well, some guy shows up on TV, his fund is up strong that year, he looks the part, he sounds good, so investors all pile into that. And what happens at that point? The mean reversion begins, and after that hot streak comes to an end, the advisor that fund either goes back to normal returns or worse, it makes up for that strong period. So what do? They sell out at the bottom. The ideal time to buy is not when something's had a huge run up and the guy's on the cover of a mutual fund magazine. It's because I want exposure to this asset class, and this is the least expensive, most efficient way to get that exposure.
Thank you to Barry Ritholtz for that insight, and to you for watching. Goodbye.